Not hearing anything. Why am I not hearing anything? At least, yeah. So weird. No, I don't know. Let's keep it like this. Okay, I got it to work. Let me look at excellent connection. Load. Connect to chat. Live chat. No, fake. I think there's already like 10 seconds delay. Incredible. I think I got it to work like 100% of the time. Yep. But yeah, I did something horrible to get it to work. Namely, I added this. So I think that our bug has to do with, well, the value of instance position, which is read from instance data and position. Which should be all zeros and then either minus a half or plus a half for the y value. But apparently, how can I comment out stuff in GLSL? Just like that. I hesitate to completely delete everything. See if this even compiles empty braces stuff. I mean, the C+ will compile, but maybe the GLSL is not going to compile. I don't know. Yeah, that works. Okay, so now, yeah, you see that now we have our bug. And there are, I think, yeah, this is 2. So either we have 2 small 2s or we have the single 2 here and then these in the middle, vertically. And that's about it, except that sometimes you get this and then it works completely. So there are 3 possibilities. Either it works, or we get this, or we get this. That's the only 3 I saw. And since I got to make that go away by setting explicitly this value, it must be that this is not working. Instance data and position. Instance data and position is not working. Okay, I'm just going to delete it, I guess. Well, let's begin with looking at how the GLSL code looks like after the pre-processing. At the moment I don't have any clue what can be causing this. Well, any wrong thing is good enough, so let's use that on. And then I'm having compiling instance data and position. it's put in location 2. So, for example, what could happen is that the location number is wrong, and it just reads data from memory that is not what we wanted. And then that thing is being used here again. Vec, it's just a vec4, so what? Nothing can go wrong here. I'm not interested in that kind of hacking, fat man. I'd rather write real programs like this. There's enough to do without, does not have to do with circumventing security. Loads and loads of things. You should concentrate on AI or machine learning if you want to have an interesting future in programming or computers. If you ask me, it's also way more interesting. I don't say that you should not learn networks and networking, but just that last sentence. That doesn't make any sense. Right. Yeah, so I suspect that the location is wrong, goes wrong. But why would it? I think one location is has the size of a vec4. So the first one is at location 0, and then the second one location 1, and then this one, even though the last one was only a vec2, it still uses the next location. Well, I feel drawn to using my Vulkan engine to show evolution of not artificial intelligence nonsense. It doesn't exist yet, in my opinion. But do those evolution things, like little digital animals that reproduce and learn from their environment stuff. That's what I would like to do, I think. Well, it's 2D. Of course, what I'm writing is 3D stuff, so it would be kind of silly if then I wouldn't use that. Oh well, we'll see. I mean, you can do something 3D, like walking. So you have some other YouTubes that they show animals that learn to walk in 3D, but then you have a kind of a physics system and stuff like that. So that's very difficult. I'm not sure I want to do that anytime soon. Anyway, it's way in the future, so probably too old by the time that I would get to that. So location, yeah. Well, like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with this code. So it must be that we are writing it to the wrong place in memory. This, or just write the wrong values, of course, but And the weird thing is that, hey, Omnic, good to see you. I was wrong the other day. You asked if there was if I was using random, and I said no, but I was thinking about the random that I am using, and then decided that random didn't any matter. So I said no. But in fact, I am using random, and the random that well, not anymore. I disabled it now. But I was using yeah, I was using a random generator for the partitioning. So the what's the word? How to divide the shader resources over descriptor sets. No, I did not. I'll explain. I don't know. You were not here from the very beginning, I guess. So I just started 5 minutes ago. But there was, you know, we have partitioning. Currently, I'm adding only 2 shader resources per pipeline. So now it's either 0, 0 or 0, 1. And that is random. So I turned that off. Now we only have 0, 0, which means that it puts the 2 combined image samplers. So I have to go to the fragment shader here. So you have top and bottom 1 here, and they are both put in the same descriptor set. Let me try to find a compiling here. You can see that. See, so we have a combined image sample top and bottom 1, or the other pipeline has top and bottom 0, but both have just 2 of them. They are both an array of combined image samplers, aka textures, and now I always put them in the same set. So this one has set 0 and this one also has set 0. And before there was a random thing that sometimes you had 0 here and 0 here, and sometimes you had 0 here and 1 here. However, it turned out that the bug that we saw that gave the variation in all the different ways that this can go wrong did not depend on that. Nevertheless, I turned it off. So now it's always 0, 0, and we still see the differences. So now it must really be a race condition. What I did next is I did hard code in the vertex shaders the value of M position here. So it should be written to location 2 and then read from there. But I just hard coded in main the value, the correct values, and then it works 100% of the time. So clearly it's the problem that we are seeing is M position is being wrong. And either, yeah, I don't know, I really don't think this is wrong. Like I said, I think that one location has space for 4 floats, which is one vec4. So even though there's a vec2 here, this location is simply at an offset of 8 floats, 32 bytes from the beginning, and that's where we should be writing to. But okay, either we are writing to the wrong memory address, whatever that address then is. I would say offset of 32 bytes. Or we're writing the wrong content, of course. Because the shader looks good. In my opinion. Now, let's have a look at this then. Find where that is being written. This is a different test, so the only one I have here is this, and that is the shader code. Not useful. Let's just look for imposition itself then. I guess this is the declaration of it. So the frame resource count is a different test. It is commented out. What the hell is that doing here? Is that an example? Oh, it's an example. Oh. Okay, this is the declaration, and because here it is being used, filled, whatever. And this is shader code, if you ask me. Yeah, so FAC4 and stuff. I also have a vertex data imposition, but actually that's not going wrong. So I don't know if one of these. I think square. The square is just the square that we project texture onto. So this is the vertex, I think, and this is the instance. Or not. Kijk, gewoon net overridden with a push constant in the shader. This is slightly confused that I'm not finding it back. Not at first glance, anyway. Okay, example. Different test. I just start at the top. Although this is absolutely vertex index, of course. Yeah, vertex data, I mean. I'm not going to even look at it. Instance data then. So this is how the user declares the VEC4 called imposition, called instance data imposition. Well, and it cannot be wrong because 1 in 3 times it works, you know. Sometimes it works. It works with one pipeline that uses the same code. This cannot be wrong. This has nothing to do with the possible race condition. So it's just good. So I'm marking here that this is per instance data, and it is simply existing. It is a VEC4 called imposition. And on here, this is the layout stuff for the engine to understand what is going on. And now I do it again here to actually have a C++ structure that I can use. I mean, this is a compile time template magic stuff. This is the actual structure. So we do have something called imposition, and we must be using it. I mean, it is really a C++ code here. That was 10 and 17 here. Then we have the square on top stuff. This is definitely the shader, yeah. And then that must be one of these. And square, I think, is the vertex. Input entry vertex data. Yeah, it's vertex data pointer, and then it takes some offset here, and then we have the imposition. So not that one. that leaves only this. That is the only place where it is being used. And by the looks of it, it writes the correct values. Because I was hard coding 0 minus a half 0 0 and 0 plus a half 0 0, and then it works 100% of the time. So I would say if it works sometimes correctly, then this code must be correct as well, as in it's a weird syntax, but it probably writes the correct values, and I see here minus a half is being used first, and then we do y as incremented with 1 so that it becomes plus a half, and then we do it again, and the whole loop is the size of 2. So we write twice. First we write minus a half, and then we write plus a half. Using a different I here, so we have an instance data that uses as index 0 and 1, and then we write those two values. That can neither go wrong. Batman says bye for now. Okay, I'll see you. And Omnic said and position default value is 0 since it is on top of the struct. Well, I would call the value the value, if you mean the offset. Offset in the struct would be 0, but it's not really. I don't quite understand what you mean. I'm just looking, you know, at the problem is clearly that we end up with the wrong values of M position in the shader. So I grabbed for M position and then look where I'm using it, and this is the only place where I'm actually using the phrase M position. So this is the place where it is being written to. And as far as I can see, I'm writing the right stuff here. I mean, you could verify it by, let's say, changing this 0 into a 1 and then see that it never goes right anymore. If it, you know, like I run and run and run and run and none of the runs is ever correct. Well, there is sometimes correct when I use the 0. Then the correct value is obviously 0. And I think that is a waste of time to check that because it's already obvious. I know that the correct values are 0 plus or minus a half 0 0. That's being written here, and sometimes it goes right. So this code is correct. Yeah, I don't know. Which code were we looking at then? This one? I mean, it's at the top of this instance, meaning that the offset within this instance is 0. But I don't see how that is relevant to getting a wrong value there. And yes, the delay between the video and the chat is absolutely horrible. Probably annoying. Hey, Post Bunny is back. Has joined the party. Okay, I'm going to look at calls to create entry then, or maybe let's start with looking at this class. We just looked at that. This is just a declaration. Here's it included, and the only place where it is being used is there. And this is part of the vertex pipeline characteristic range. Now, one of the things that could go wrong, for example, is that you write the correct values and then destroy this object and then use it, and then that the memory would be corrupt. But I find that kind of not very likely, because there's never ever anything wrong with the square data. So if this got overridden due to destruction, no, I don't think so, because that data would also be corrupted in sometimes, wouldn't it? So I'm just digging deeper. What is being done here, I mean, is add vertex input binding. It's being added to the engine. Don't understand this binding stuff here, really. Got so used to bindings being binding of a descriptor set. This has nothing to do with the descriptor sets. Lens. And you're right, Romano, yes. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Heroic music. Okay, well, one day I said I want to pronounce your name and you told me it was Lance. I can change it into Len. So the S is not correct. This of lens. Yeah, it's probably his real name. You just paste it in Google and then find something that pronounces it audibly. And then I don't know how to say it. But okay, what is happening here? Add vertex input binding. It's adding it to vertex shader input sets. So the rate in this case is per vertex input rate instance on this one, and it's derived from a data feeder. Which allows you to call get chunks, which then fills in a chunk with data, which we saw. And I think that works by unsigned char. So I guess for was filling the whole vector. So whole vec4. So that should be 4 times 4 floats, which is one float is 4 bytes, 16 bytes. The value returns the number of chunks, the total number of chunks, and the size of one chunk in bytes. I'm going to believe this interface works. I mean, it's all fuzzy. It's like I could just spend hours on debugging all the related code, but statistically it's likely that I don't have to put time into that, and I'm just trying to find the most likely point first, where things might go wrong or be wrong. So basically I want to go back to this top bottom position thing then, and then to top bottom positions. We have a chunk count is 2. There's a number of instances. We do have 2 instances. Chunk count. I'm slightly confused with all the 2s here. I have no way how to make 16 of this. Create entry as an instance data pointer. Completely forgot how my interface works. Generate 2 instance data objects. Each instance data object exists of a single vec4 representing the position to put a square. This class generates the 2 position vectors where x should be -1 or 0 and y is -1 or 0. I totally disagree. That changed. Okay, I have to read the documentation again of the chunk count and stuff. Rectangle. Already using that a lot, and I cannot find the vertical base class. Let's go like this. Let me just my bloody bad memory. I have to remember chunk count returns 2, next batch returns 2, and now we have a create which fills a single instance data for some reason. And that's all I have, right? And all of them are overridden, so all of them must be vertical functions. I'm just going to the base class here, vertex shader input set instance data. Oh, chunk size is defined here as the size of entry, where entry is the template parameter, which was instance data, and instance data is this thing, which has a size of, I guess, 32 bytes. That's what is 32. So the chunk size is 32 and next batch was overridden to be 2. And the get chunks was overridden to be 2, wasn't it? Oh, this one is also final. What the hell? Let me write it down. I don't have a pen. I'll type it in the chat. So I'm having chunk count is 2. Next batch is 2. Create entity writes 2 instance data. Now we have chunk size. Chunk size is size of entry, which is instance data, which is, I'm gonna guess, 32 bytes. 1 instance data. Next batch was overridden. Create entry is entry indeed. And then get chunks calling get entry. It's just an assert. Yeah, get chunks then does the same thing. It does a cast and then so get chunks writes also to instance data. Alright, let's say to instance data, and instance data is really 16 bytes. I cannot go around it, is it not? 4 times 4, yeah, 16. So this is, that was wrong. Writes 32 bytes. So the chunk size is wrong. That's 16. Chunk size returns 16. Do I have everything now? I think so. And then we go to the base class of that, which just defines the input rate thing, and then we go to the base class of that, which then finally describes what it is. So chunk size is the size of one chunk in bytes, and chunk size was 16, so that's one instance data. Then chunk count is the number of chunks. Chunk count is 2. That's also correct. The value returned is the number of chunks that will be initialized by the next call to get chunks. So that should be returning 2 then, right? And next batch was returning 2, so that's correct. Fill in n chunks of n is the value that was returned by the last call to next batch. Yeah, so this gets 2 of them, and that is, it does exactly that. Now then, let's find the code that is calling this. Then I just put an S there for some reason. Yeah. What? So just here. I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Okay, I'm confused. Well, this must be it. So the destination is some kind of buffer here. Chunk size is, well, chunk size, which was 16. Chunk count is chunk count, which was 2. Total chunks 0, total chunks less than chunk count, which was 2. Total chunks plus is chunks. So we read chunks from next batch, which was 2. So correct, next batch also 2. And then we get the chunks into the destination. And basically it gets all the chunks at once, right? Because we just, it writes 2 and that's the only thing we have. And again, destination is set to after what we just wrote. Number of chunks times, wait a minute, TST is a character pointer, yeah. So we just add the size of the chunk times the number of chunks. And then we do total chunks plus is chunks, which makes total chunks equal to 2, and the chunk count is also 2, so the loop is only looped once. And that's it. We just wrote to whatever this is. And I think I saw an assert for the alignment also. So the alignment is correct. Axel Tram, thank you. I'm also assuming that everyone, well, it happens more often, people wishing me luck. And I always interpreted that as they're about to leave. Like, well, I wish you good luck, but I'm going. And I'm starting to wonder if that's correct interpretation of me, by me. Let's see. We get immediate fall through. Got the logical device, flush mapped allocation. Oh, what from? Well, I thought that you were leaving because what you said. Or didn't you? Who was the last one who said good luck? Nah, that was crazy Marcus, was that? I wish you the very best of luck to write this code. and then maximum time set the same. Guys, luck has nothing to do with this. Just kidding. Yeah, most of this code also has to be correct because, you know, it works sometimes. So it's not like I'm writing to the wrong address or anything. It has the bug has to do with the race condition. So maybe I'm overriding it or destroying it too soon or something like that. But in principle, of course, this is just correct. I have a pointer and I'm writing to it and I'm flushing it. So it go back to record command buffer to virtual function. To record command buffer. Yeah, maybe you get more insight by now looking at it from the debugger. So I'll just catch it here, and this is falling through, so it's easy to follow. Just one thread going executing from there to here, and then setting this submit request. Yeah, a bit vague. But by the time we get here, we can maybe set a breakpoint on that record command buffer. Yeah, but it's a lambda here, but you can still set a breakpoint on this line, I think. And then try continue to see when it gets there. So then I want to start debugging when, let's say, the first line is being called, maybe this one, the chunk size. Chunk size, vertex shader input set. Yeah. Yeah, chunk size is not the best place. Let's window.h position. Chunk count should work as well. So I'm going to set a breakpoint on top bottom positions chunk count. Yeah, well, we have two pipelines, so it's always problematic here that let's see if I do this. I think I should get most of the things I want. So this is create vertex buffers, which is yeah, it's just called from the thread pool. Maybe this one? No. Thread pool 0, yeah. Breakpoint. 02. Well, it hasn't been running for a long time. It's a brand new copy data to buffer task. Apparently we created a buffer. So yeah. Create vertex buffers is being called from I just want to see which state we are in and which task it is. Looks like this one. Triple 2 is here executing base state multiplex / vertex pipeline characteristic range initialize. Vertex pipeline characteristic range is a user class, and now we are initializing it. And during that initialization, I mean, it is adding a push constant and then adding a vertex input binding for vertex data. And then entering here, add vertex input binding for instance data. Instance data is what we are looking at. And then stuff, and then registering instance data and position. That's the one that goes wrong. With vertex attribute, basic type is standard vertex attributes. So standard that in memory is being formatted in. Rows is 4, calls is 1, so that looks like a vec4. Scalar type float. The log2 of the alignment is 4, well I guess so. size is 16 bytes, yes, array stride is 16, okay. And the GLSL ID full is instance data and position. Offset is 0, there's the offset 0 omnic. Binding number 1, well, I have still no idea what binding number 1 is. But, okay. And then we're done apparently with registering that instance data thing. Now we continue with adding combined image sampler, adding another combined image sampler, and sorry, that's the same thing here, adding another combined image sampler. And then we call create vertex buffers, which creates a buffer. And I would think that the size of 3 kilobytes is for the square and not for our 2 instances. Created the buffer with allocation name and vertex buffers 0. Created object and vertex buffers 0. Handle whatever. I love the colors. It makes it so much easier to read a single thread. Entering get buffer memory requirements, allocate buffer memory requirements, still 3 kilobytes. Entering create copy data to buffer, still is 3 kilobytes here. Copy data to GPU, well, that's a constructor. Copy data to buffer, it's a derived class being constructed, and that is a task, and the task is being run. It's going to be run from the thread pool. And then we hit our breakpoint, but for that thread. Obtain the chunk count, which was 2. Okay, okay with most of it, except that I don't understand why we need a buffer of 3 kilobytes. I don't know where that size came from. But okay. So we are in create vertex buffers, and the rest is just the rest of the backtrace is not interesting. It's just create a task that is being started. Frame, yep. So I do next. Can I do finish? We were in chunk count, and I type finish. ChatGPT did teach me that we could type finish. It's the first time I tried. All the other threads are happy running fast at that point. That's not nice. But yeah, it works. It left the current function. So count is now equal to 2. It's totally not. No, the size. We stopped it in chunk size? No, I don't know anymore. That is 16, that is correct. I think we're indeed creating the square now. The 3 kilobyte indicates it, and the count is definitely not 2. So this is yeah, 69 stuff for the square that we projected textures on. I'm going to do continue, I think. So there we are, and now we are thread pool 5, which is cyan or whatever the color is, which is also a just created task. Copy that to the buffer. Also has a big size, but maybe that's a minimum size or something. Anyway, if now I do finish, we get somewhere where nobody understands why we finished there. What the hell is this? That's not finishing. I hate this debugger. Okay, I'm gonna start over. Chunk count is 2. Should be safe to do, yeah. At least entry size 16. And count 2. Let's never type finish again. Okay, next buffer size 32. Yeah, that's the right one. The input rate is instance. It is the one we want to look at. Well, it has to be because I stopped it in the, what was it? Top bottom positions, which is instance stuff. Where are we? Frame list. Now I'm going to do create a new buffer. Let's see, we're here. Lock M vertex buffers and then add a buffer, a new buffer with the size of buffer size. Usage transfer, blah blah blah. Buffer, okay. And then we do copy data to buffer, then we create yet another task. Seriously? We'll copy to data. Right here. I thought I was going to. Oh, I forgot. Next. Let's just run over this. Oops. And then we deadlocked. Really? We're waiting on thread 8. And thread 8 is waiting for thread 4. Thread 4. Thread 4 seems to be writing debug output. So why would it be waiting for something? So acquire log. It is a sort of a log, I guess. No. I suppose it never exits. That is a log. So 9 is waiting on 8 and 8 is waiting on 4 and 4 is waiting on 8. So 4 and 8 are deadlock. Did you see that correctly? Current thread is 4. So we'll do intro threads again. Current thread is 4 and it is waiting for 8. Yeah. Trying to lock this mutex. So hold by 8 and thread 8 He's waiting for... Oh, that is no longer locked. Why are you waiting then here? Now we got out of the deadlock. Don't you hate that? What the hell is happening? You know what? I'm gonna ignore this deadlock because I have no idea what's going on. So where are we now? Now we are again in top bottom positions. So I'm gonna do next. Oops, deadlocking again. Maybe the problem is that I'm doing next and then other threads are not running. Well, the other threads were running maybe till... Is that even possible? Barely it's possible. That's pretty hard to debug then. Unless, of course, we do... Go up. This is the point where I was hanging, right? What if I just put a breakpoint at 7:30 then? And delete all the breakpoints and we break at after we got that lock. Yeah, it's still hanging in pushback. It seems to be totally unrelated this, but I'm not happy with threads having to wait on locks at all. So it's kind of weird that this happens. Can't say I understand it. I mean, I saw it before. The pushback was done, and then it is hanging because it was running a debug output, or what? Batteries. Yeah, it's writing debug output. Okay. Strange thing is fist fight. Oh, you didn't break anything? You were 8'5" or something, so he was trash talking, and you opened the door and got out. What did you say? I think 8 feet is a bit much. Maybe I meant 6 feet. 5. I don't know. Oh, we're still working with feet. I use SI units. Yeah, the debug output is locking a nasty mutex, a very nasty mutex. Namely, I lock a mutex every time I write to standard out. If you do not do that, then all the output of the different threads are interleaved, or you just get a huge mess. Only one thread can write to standard out at the same time. But that should never cause a deadlock, because it's a leaf. It's just writing to standard output and not calling any user functions at all anymore while writing. Because I'm writing from a standard string stream. So did he attack you first then, Fat Man? Well, as a brown belt in karate, yeah. So you use it well. People cannot read the chat, but Fatman said, sadly no, I am 5'8" and brown belt in karate, so I know how to defend myself. So, but as a brown belt in karate, then you understand, I guess, that I forgot what I wanted to say. You didn't start a fight. That's basically what I wanted to say. So he was trash talking, and then maybe you say something back, and he started hitting you. I once had a problem. I did karate too for 6 years or so. Also Aikido. And at some point I was in the metro while I was still living in Amsterdam, and there was a whole group of girls who had an extremely big mouth to me, for no reason whatsoever. That was really annoying, and I was much older than them. Maybe it was 10 or 15 years ago, so I don't know, I was still a respectable man, as it were, and she was maybe 20 or 22, 20 or something. So yeah, I mean, come on, it's ridiculous to be so unpolite and so rude to someone. But I didn't say much because, yeah, I mean, you know, Aikido, you just let it go. Whatever rolls someone's boat. But she was literally trash talking me with threats, like to beat me up. Maybe I said something, I don't know, but I forgot the details. But it was really not totally out of line of that girl. So at some point the stop came where I had to go out, and then you know, I still silently, I just stepped out the door, and I stuck up my middle finger to her through the window. So to give finally my opinion about it. But that girl was so, you know. Yeah, well, maybe you see it often on television. The typical African American bitch that is a huge mouth, big mouth, full of themselves. So she was like that, and she immediately came out of the door. It wasn't even her stop. Screaming and yelling at me. There was apparently now I had done it. So now she was really going to hit me. And then you have the following problem. Self-defense does not always mean that you wait until you are hit, right? In this case, I mean, sometimes I just know that I'm going to hit. And then you can wait until they actually reach back and slam, and then try to stop the fist going to your face. But I think self-defense includes being a little bit more early and not even letting them come within fist range. So what I did was, Post Bunny, you know the type. So she came at me. And it was totally clear that this time she was going to kick me, to hit me or whatever. So I kept her on a distance with my right foot. I mean, I didn't really give her, I forgot what was the Japanese term for that. Forward kick. It was more like a push. You know? So like, you're coming. She was walking towards me, or fist up. And I just pushed her back with my foot. That was self-defense, absolutely. But then what happened? Immediately another guy came up from behind me saying, "Hey, you do not hit girls." World upside down. So he said, "I'm not hitting her. I'm doing self-defense. You've been threatening me all the way here to hit me, and I'm not fighting. But if she comes at me, I will defend myself." No, she didn't dare to, and the guy also. Too. She kept on screaming that her boyfriend was a police officer and she would get me, and blah blah blah. Yeah, I lived for 25 years in Amsterdam, in the Belmer, which is 99% black. I think a big factor of the racism problem is the mind setting of those people. They're very, 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 very long toes. And in most situations that I've been in personally, they felt, this, what is the word? Disadvantaged for the wrong reason. It's nothing to do with it at all. But they always throw it on that, and then they get mad and just, get in touch with reality. Yeah, well. But we were talking about fat men. I was just saying that, for my personal experience, I try to avoid any fight to the maximum. You're not supposed to fight. When you can fight, you're definitely not supposed to fight. The worst fight I ever had, where I was fighting myself, that is. I've defended my a few times in the city when some complete lunatics suddenly attacked me. But then I never got further than just blocking their attacks, and then done standing in fighting stance, looking, you know, in between their eyes, and then I was like, okay, what just happened? If they attack again, I will, and I'll kick them. Oh, it's not true. I did really fight twice, I think. But anyway, the first time I broke my own fist. There was also a long story which I won't do now because I'm trying to debug a program. But it was, someone was being a complete bully and asshole for absolutely no reason, looking for a fight. And I didn't want to fight. I was with another friend. We were on bikes. So I said to my friend, when we finally were able to bike past this idiot, I said, I don't want to fight. And it didn't matter what I said. He heard me say something, so that guy came immediately after me. What did you say? He probably thought I was insulting him or something. So I was just biking, and he was also on a bike now, and I was cutting him off. So he was on the right side, and I didn't go to the left. So he had to stop in front of a parked car. And he couldn't, you know, be insulted like that he had to brake. So he hit me in the face. Okay, so I got off my bike. I cannot defend myself while sitting on a bike. And put my bike in the middle of the street. And then I finally stand in fighting stance. And then I saw his face change in what's the word? Ecstasy. He became very glad. He was so happy. And he said, you can karate, huh? And he came at me, and I had already long guessed that he was doing taekwondo because of the way he was kicking towards the face of my friend, like a few centimeters distance, very high. And that face change, that I translated that into, if I had been an old lady, like a really old lady, 70-year-old lady, so I was weak, and now finally he had a reason to beat me up. He was going to beat me, the weak guy, up because I had dared to take a fighting stance. So he had a reason now. And he came at me to beat me up for no reason, and just because he liked to beat up weaker people. And I defended myself as if I was defending this old lady. I got so mad at this guy. Such a monster. And while I was hitting him, I saw his face change again. I'll never forget that. I love it. And he shouted, "Oh no, he can do karate." Oh, great. But yeah, I wasn't, after he finally ran away, and I shouted after him, "If I see you again, I'll beat you, whatever." And I stepped on my bike, and then I felt the pain because I had hit him so hard that I broke my own thumb, my right thumb. So then I had to go to the hospital. That wasn't fun. And I blamed it on the fact that I got mad. I should not have gotten mad, of course, but you know. Yeah, and in the other case where I did fight on the street was, I had a very, very, very good friend, very handsome friend as well. I was actually pretty much in love with him. And he was stolen away. No, so there was some much, much older guy who was telling him lies, loads of lies. I don't know the words to use it, but how do you call that? Damn memory. Anyway, he was getting in between us with lies. That is so mean. And my friend believed those lies, or at least every time again he came to me and he said, yeah, Johnny said this or that. And then I was like, why do you believe that? He's lying. He's lying again and again. I never did that. I never said that. It never happened. And I had to defend him. And then when I said it like that, then okay, my friend believed it. But I said, well, then isn't it clear that he just wants us to break up? That's the whole point of lying. How can you still be a friend of this Johnny? And then, yeah, he had to admit that he said, yeah, I don't know. Either you are lying or he is lying, and I don't know who is. So he couldn't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. No, it's what's the word? It's a very low way. So, you know, this guy took a long time. It took 6 months in total until we broke up. Gaslighting, maybe. So he was talking to our mutual friends, you know, just telling stories that made me look bad, and then to talk to my friend that I would have done certain things that were very humiliating or whatever. And people then, yeah, for some reason they think, yeah, well, it's probably true, you know, the way he tells it. It's unbelievable. Well, so, okay, anyway, at some point, I cannot stand lying. If you want to ever lose me as a friend, then lie to me. It's easy. So it happened because at some point I was with my friend and the phone rang and he took up the phone and he had a short conversation. And I guessed it was this Johnny. And then he hung up and he said, so who was that? And he said, yeah, that was my boss. He was, you know, something, you know, with his work and his boss. And I said, well, I don't believe you. I think it was Johnny. And he said, yes, it was Johnny. He said, why didn't you tell me that? Yeah, because you will become mad. So, and then I said again, you know, you should not be a friend of someone who's lying to you and trying to break us up, and etc. etc. I was really mad. But he had lied to me about this, and I said, I wanted to, you know, an excuse, or I wanted to a resolution. And then he said, I forgot the details, but he said, okay, then we are not, then I'm not longer your friend, or something like that. And then I never saw him again. So 6 weeks of telling lies to all kinds of people everywhere, with the result that beautiful friendship was broken up. And then I met this guy, the Johnny, on the street. And he pretended not to see me, so that if we would walk, you know, just straight, he just hit me in the shoulder, with his shoulder, hard. Or maybe I hit his shoulder, because I wasn't going to step aside for this monster. I wanted to kill him, basically. So mad I was at him. Okay, so we hit shoulders. I continued walking. Then suddenly I was pushed from the back really hard. So I flew forward, I turned around, and then, well, basically he had really attacked me. So I put the fighting stance again. And then he reacted more or less in the same way, like happy, you know, karate, huh? And then he did like he was, you know, he could fight as well. So I don't know, he even bragged about it or something. So he also took a fighting stance and came at me. Yeah, then I did fight again. But still, I was thinking, I was basically scared of this guy. That, you know, he was so criminal, so mean. that I was thinking to myself, I cannot hit him in the face, because if he gets a blue eye or a broken nose or something like that, then he will have to show that to other people. People will say, "Oh, what happened to you?" And he will have to say, "Carlo hit me." And that would be too much for his personality. Then he would rather, maybe he would go as far as try to kill me, so stab me or whatever. So I only gave him low kicks. So on his upper leg, on his hip. So hopefully he couldn't walk for a while, but his face I left alone because I was really afraid to make it anything visible. And yes, 2 days later or so I was in the cafe again where we normally both came, and some, well, they're all foreigners there in Amsterdam, but some I forgot what country he was from. Anyway, he was aiming a two-finger gun at me, and firing and then pretending to blow it off. So it's like shooting me from over the distance of the cafe. So I don't know what Johnny told him, but he got him as far as threatening me with the death. So immediately I went to that guy and said, "What did you just do? You aimed a gun at me and you pretended to fire it. Do you not know that according to the law in the Netherlands it is illegal to threaten someone with the death? Do you want to murder me?" And then he laughed it off. "No, it was just a joke, blah blah blah." I just explained, I knew what was going on, so I just explained him in less words. I just used what was going on, and he said, "Don't let you be used by this Johnny, because he's a monster." And well, that was the last thing I heard of it. This Johnny guy? No, just so more or less an old guy. He could have been the father of the friend of me. Oh yes, they do. They're all illegal, but criminals still have them. I had another fight, but then I didn't fight myself. That was in Rotterdam. I was going out, and some drugs junkie was. I was going home from the disco to my house at 4 a.m. I think, at night. And this guy was walking up, and he said, if I wanted to buy something for, I don't know anymore, €10, 20. And I said I didn't want to, and then he changed to just give me the money. And I still didn't do that. And then he threatened me with a gun, as if he had a gun. So he had his hand in his pocket and pretended to have a gun. I don't think he had one. And then, yeah, no way, I was not going to give him money. So. And then a second guy turned up, because he had a friend apparently. And then they started to become physically. In this case, I didn't win. So they were beating me, holding me each by one arm, and then hitting me with a fist with a ring on it in my face. So the blood was running through my eyes. So at some point I screamed, okay, let me go, I'll give you money. So they let me go, and then they ran away. Really fast. No, I didn't, fat man. I just told you, I only did fight twice on the street. And I explained Why, I guess, right? I mean, both cases real self-defense, they came at me. I pride myself in not fighting. Let's say if someone threatens me or anything and I can avoid a fight, and I feel proud afterwards. I think that's good. Boys Bunny, no. I don't know which case you mean, but no. In none of the cases. That was in Amsterdam, so the chance isn't that big there, as it were. There, after I moved here, where I'm living now, it almost happened again. I didn't fight, I was avoided, but that was, yeah. I was just walking in the forest there, and then in that forest, dogs have to be kept on a leash. And growling and barking dog, especially the growling part was new to me, came running at me, and as if he was like want to devour me. So I shouted at the top of my lung. I won't say what, but well, it was just a curse word. And then the dog stopped, but he kept barking, and then slowly this guy comes walking. And I was like, do you think this is normal, you know, like call your dog back. You must be on a leash here and stuff like that. And this guy was just like he was a mafia. You know, the typical, if you see a movie with a mafia boss, then that was how he was acting. He didn't care one bit about my feelings, not at all. And he thought it was completely normal that his dog was like that. And he told me, "Oh, you better be afraid of me instead of of his dog." And then he insulted me a few times. For example, I said, "Well, is your dog doing this to everybody?" And he said, "Yes, he barks for every dog." So, yeah, are you calling me a dog now? And he came stand in front of me very close, and at some point he left again, and then at some point he came back again, and I thought he's going to give me a headbutt. So then I took fighting stance, because I didn't want to let him get closer. Now the dog went ballistic because of that, but by that time I was ignoring the dog. And I told him, kind of truthfully, I said, "I'm not afraid of you. And in fact, I'm not afraid of your dog either. It's just that if your dog attacks me, I will have to break his neck. And that will give me a lot of administrative problems." So then he kind of backed off. He said, "Why don't you call the police?" And then he left with his dog. What an asshole. Yeah, arranged the 4 pluses a bit differently. No, it's not 2. It's 2 pluses. A hashtag is 2 pluses. Arranged a little bit different. I should go back to... see, this is why I should not look at the chat. Yeah, I'm gonna go code again. Maybe I should go eat now. I only ate breakfast though, but it's not time to eat dinner yet. So. Yeah, damn Deadlock. So all the threads lock mutex when they are printing debug output, but that should never lead to a deadlock. Because, like I said, it's a leave mutex, So when all the mutexes have been locked, it locks one more mutex and then does something that doesn't lock mutexes. So there's no way it can be leading to a deadlock. Such a mutex will always be unlocked again. Unless the debugger stops all the threads and one of the threads has locked the standard out standard cout mutex, and then the debugger stops it in the middle of that. But yeah, I don't know. Do we see another one? I mean, it looks like it was inside, it was hanging on that mutex. Okay, that looks really strange. Really strange. I don't know what this is, but it's probably not what I thought it was. Info threads. What? No, they aren't threads. They are the threads. What the hell is this one? It looks like all of them are busy doing something. And in eigen no less, 2 of them. And this one is called clone 3. Man, this is Twilight Zone stuff. I don't want to look at this. It looks like this one is trying to write debug output and this one is writing debug output. And therefore this one waits for that one. So that kind of makes sense. But for the rest, I want to see what this clone 3 is doing here. It's really weird. At 4. Create thread. It's creating a thread in the validation layer. Validation layer of QSubmit. There's sure a lot going on here. Yeah, no, it kind of feels like a dead end here. I don't know, it's yeah. Perhaps, I mean, I think that this is being called by both pipelines. Perhaps that's not good to do. This should be called once, it says. And then I think globally, so yeah. After calling all add vertex input binding calls, but because it depends on those adds here. I guess it different pipeline could have different vertex input bindings and therefore needs to call it as well then. Do I know what the pipeline is here at this point? Yep. What if I only call it for one pipeline? Then at least we're not going to get any race conditions. We just break one pipeline. I'm going to turn on the lights. Okay. How often am I going to run this until I say that it is fixed? It looks fixed. Okay, so the problem was that create vertex buffers was being called twice in parallel, no less. Clearly this is working now. Now that means that this is doing something with the memory that is shared between the two pipelines. Cannot be the this pointer because that is different between the two pipelines, but the window of course is not. So to create vertex buffers, which is a const function, but it's not really const, as explained here. The member function only uses m-vertex buffers, which is AI thread safe. Therefore, the function as a whole is made thread safe const. Aha! Let's check if that is correct. I mean, correct that that's only using m-vertex buffers. Yeah, here it's using m-vertex buffers. Another thing that I don't get is that the other pipeline still works. So apparently it's using the same thing. The same thing being the same thing on the GPU side. What is happening here? Right. Oh, no, not right. I think each pipeline has a different instance of the ranges. Certainly that one. Okay, so two different vertex input sets. One for vertex and one for instance. And the owner here is I've got pipeline. So I have only pipeline 0 now is calling this. And then go back to the broken code. Yeah, now two pipelines are both calling it, but they do need, use a different different that shader input set. So it's not the state of that object that is being corrupted. Then what is it? And vertex buffers is protected, but now we get suddenly 2, I think. 4, I mean. 4 buffers, and then also 4 copy data to buffer tasks, which all run independently in their own threads. And that's probably then where the corruption happens. Yeah, there are 4 different objects, and they get past different handles, and everything is different except the first argument here. So that must be then the thing that I share. Not really, that's a logical device. Of course they share that. Guess I cannot print this. Yeah, where do I define that? What? Impossible. Oh, that's why. I still should have been finding this one. Open less and less than standard hosting. Oh, OS, yeah. The no, it's not what they want. Maybe this one. Perf to string. That is not offset. Offset. Oh well, I only have offsets. Arg. Where did I add that? No one knows. Yeah, I don't have the address at all. Suppose it's already on the GPU. Yeah. Yeah, what a waste. Cannot write that. must have been a different. Just no. Seriously. That one. It is so weird that apparently there's a corruption for this buffer and not for that one. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop the stream because no progress anymore. I don't know. Look at it alone again, I guess. For a bit. Yeah. Okay, I've read all up. I'll be back later. I'm going to eat pea soup, I guess. Or watch a movie.